Welcome to the Bowden Blitz SEC edition. I'm Joe Lisi, joined by former National Coach of the Year, Terry Bowden. Coach, Week 13 on the horizon. Marquee battles in the top 25 will ultimately dictate conference championships and, more importantly, college football playoff odds. We'll take a look at the SEC title odds entering Saturday. Right here, right now, Texas A&M is the team to beat. They had a scare last weekend in Kyle Field against South Carolina. They did pick up that victory 31-30. The Aggies now a plus 160 price to win the SEC championship, followed by Georgia, Alabama, and Ole Miss. Thoughts about where this conference stands entering this weekend?
Well, I think Texas probably strengthened Texas A&M's position the way they played against Georgia, and now Texas A&M having to play a Samford and then playing their final game against Texas. I think it's a stronger position for them to win that conference. But again, Georgia Tech, they're playing their best football. Anybody else that comes in, I think it's pretty much sitting there waiting for that to happen. But a few more things can happen with Georgia. Should be nobody else to play, but Alabama, if they were to lose to Auburn or Texas A&M were to lose to Texas, it might change some things that would throw somebody else in. But right now, I think Georgia, Texas A&M are sitting in pretty good position. There's some good money on Ole Miss, but that's kind of hard to picture them getting in.
Yeah, what do you make? And because I heard this argument played out during the game last weekend when South Carolina started fast. Obviously, Lenora Sellers got hot in the first half of that matchup. They built a 30-3, basically third quarter lead, and then allowed it to slip in the late third to early fourth, where A&M caught them. But the perception that A&M hasn't played the likes of Georgia or Alabama, and that basically they've been playing the middle to the bottom tier of the conference. Do you still feel, though, they're undefeated, they had some scares, but they found a way to navigate through that? Their most impressive win potentially could have been the road win against Missouri or the road win against Notre Dame. Do you feel like, if they were to match up, let's say, against Georgia and Alabama, they could be as dominant as they have been on both sides of the football?
No, I don't think they're a dominant team over those teams. I think they're plenty capable talent-wise to win those games. I don't see them being any more dominant against those teams. They've got to play very, very well because they haven't had the competition. Their win over Notre Dame is proving to be pretty good. I just like the way they find a way to win. If they have to win big, they score points. If they've got to win small, they play great defense. They got to come from behind. They show they don't quit. The quarterback, he really has the ability to come on and make the plays to keep you out there being explosive. So I just like the way they play, the tools that they have, the weapons that they have. But I really don't look at anybody in the SEC as being a lock on that football game. It's just everybody has got some strengths and they've got a weakness. Texas A&M has not shown it that it would show up with a loss on their schedule.
Yeah, they're a shoo-in now to make the college football playoff no matter what happens. That victory over South Carolina basically solidified it for the Aggies. But we'll take a look at the updated college football playoff odds entering week number 13. Ole Miss with a huge price at minus 3,000, followed by Alabama at minus 230. Oklahoma, fresh off their win against the Crimson Tide, jumps to minus 176, and then we see plus money with Vanderbilt that has a game against Kentucky and Texas that takes on Arkansas. Is there any value to potentially Vanderbilt or Texas as a lottery ticket entering this weekend?
Well, I think you're really stretching when you get there. What things that would have to happen for them to move there. My money would probably be on Georgia as a team again that has a chance to go all the way to win that national championship. But I think when you drop down below those teams at the very top of the SEC, it becomes it's fun to play with, but it's really not likely to happen.
Again, when you look at Texas as well, the argument has been, Coach, if they knock off A&M, they potentially could be a 3-loss football team to make the college football playoff. I disagree with that assessment completely. We have talked about the Longhorns' struggles, especially in road environments, losing outright as a 4.5-point road favorite against Billy Napier in Florida. They didn't cover against Kentucky as a significant double-digit favorite, laying 12.5, 13 points, won the game by 3 in overtime. They pushed and were pushed to the limit by Mississippi State, trailed by 17 points in the fourth quarter, Coach. I mean, that is not the mark of a college football playoff contender, but the assessment is if they pick up their victory, obviously against Arkansas, but more importantly against undefeated Texas A&M, there's the argument the Longhorns could be in the playoff.
Yeah, and I just don't buy it. I just think they've been probably the biggest disappointment of the college football season is Texas, where they were picked to be number one, where their quarterback was picked to win the Heisman. His stats don't show that. Their record doesn't show that. They haven't played well in big games, or they haven't played well on the road. Now, the the Oklahoma win is a nice win. 23-6 looks good. I think Oklahoma suffered with a quarterback that wasn't ready to play, and I think that game's a bit of an outlier. I think the bigger story with Texas, and I don't believe they'll come back and beat Texas A&M, is what a disappointment this season is. And I'm not sure at what point Sark gets on the hot seat. If he doesn't get those players by next year, does he start out with everybody saying, okay, we're not going to buy the hype anymore? Because I think he's tried to downplay the 7-3 record, and people aren't buying it.
I agree, and he's been very defensive coming out and saying that he will be in Texas. He has no plans to bolt, but he's in the pressure cooker. I said it before.
You know it.
I'll say it again. You know, a top 25 coach catching $8 to $11 million and limping to an 8-4 or 9-3 season record and missing out on the college football playoff is like a hedge fund manager that takes 20% off the top, Coach, and loses 30 to 50% of the portfolio in a given year. There's no difference, right? They're taking the money, but you don't see the rewards.
No, and you know what? And the reality of being a college football coach is it's top man, bottom man. You're on top 1 minute, then all of a sudden you're an idiot the next minute. Genius to an idiot. You can win the big one to, oh no, we're not going to get there. It's the nature of the game where there's instant discussions, instant ranking of your quarterbacking, of your coaching skills, and it varies back and forth. But you be at a program like Texas, like Alabama, and all down the road, and you don't win the very highest level, it's going to be a problem. They're paying too much money. Their expectations are too high. And I'm not sure these coaches realize what they're getting into when they take those huge contacts at the very biggest schools, and they don't understand they got to go win it all. They have to win it all or take the buyout. You know, that's what's happening.
Well, we'll see exactly what transpires in that game with Arkansas this coming weekend. We'll take a quick look at the Heisman odds for the conference. Marcel Reed kept his hopes alive at a 6-1 price. Diego Pavia at 15-1. Any shot that Marcel Reed, assuming he has a dominant performance against Texas, could potentially steal the Heisman?
You know, it's not just Texas. Then you got to come back and play the SEC championship game, and that's 1 week before the Heisman is awarded. You got to remember, all these championship games are before the Heisman. So you take Haynes King, he's got to play Georgia, then he's got to play an ACC championship. You take Marcel Reed, he's got to play Texas, then he get out there and beat Georgia. I don't see a dominant Heisman candidate right now. I think that Mendoza, because of that play against Penn State, is up there, and they're undefeated. He's ranked number 1, but I think it could change with 2 last great weekends, the final game and the conference championship game. And for the Heisman, that conference championship game matters.
When we come back, we're diving into Week 13 action right here on the Bowden Blitz. All right, back on the Bowden Blitz, Joe Lisi and Coach Bowden diving in to Week 13 action. We'll start with the biggest game on the slate. Takes place in Norman, Oklahoma. Opens as a 7.5-point home favorite over Missouri. Missouri got a dominating home win as a 7.5-point favorite over Miss State. They now hope to carry that on the road to Norman. But this defense, Coach, one of the tops in the nation, very good in run support. They're going to look to take away Ahmad Hardy in this matchup. 7.5 is a big number, but I think Oklahoma could cover this line come Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and I think that's because Missouri will have to run the ball more than they want to. Now, they have a great running attack, have a great running back, but they're playing a team that only gives up 82 yards a game in the rushing department. And Matt Zollers, it looks like he's still going to have to start the game, and they can't score like they usually do. Their quarterbacks don't have to be phenomenal at Missouri, but they've got to do enough to complement their running game. And just look at, Ahmad Hardy, the great running back they got out of ULM. Against Alabama, got 52 yards. Against Auburn, he got 58. Against Vandy, he got 97. I know he got 300 last week, but when he's played some of these better SEC teams, that yardage goes down. He's going to have a great day for him to have a chance against a defense that's probably better against the run than they are running the football.
When you look at Brett Venables, and you and I talked about this earlier in the week, not given, I want to say, enough credit for the job that he has done. People have said that, they wanted to move on from Brett Venables. Should he not be in contention for a college football playoff berth? Well, he's proven to be more consistent, at least this year, than Steve Sarkisian, even though they lost a head-to-head earlier in the year, and stepping up against Alabama and against Michigan, two marquee top 25 battles. His team got the victory, right? Defensively, they're sound. Their quarterback was hurt in the middle part of the year. They pick up this victory and move to 9-2 and potentially become a 10-2 season. I mean, Brett Venables deserves potential credit as coach of the year this season.
He really has done a great job. I think early on, they saw him as a defensive coordinator that couldn't bring the right offensive coordinator in, that didn't have enough, that did make some mistakes offensively last year with Jackson Arnold and their offensive staff, and they just it kind of put them in a panic mode. He is a defensive coach, but be honest with you, if you want to win championships, that's kind of where it starts. And then bringing in Mateer and the offensive coordinator from Washington State, they made great moves there. If he had not gotten hurt in the middle of the season, this might even be a bigger season. So I'm all with you when it comes to his job and the job he's done as a head coach in the SEC. Now he just got to go back and finish. Missouri's going to give him a competition. I think we got to go ahead and get this game and get a win here against this Oklahoma team, then finish off against LSU. But I tell you, if he does that and gets to the playoff, it wouldn't shock me if he is at the SEC Coach of the Year.
Yeah, and they had a 40-1 price to win a national championship just a couple of years ago, and we see that significantly lower entering this matchup against Missouri because of the road win over Alabama. He's done a great job in back-to-back road wins against Tennessee and Alabama. To knock off Kalen DeBoer and Josh Heupel is one thing. To do it both in their building is a quality road effort out of the offense and defense to shut down both of those rushing attacks for Tennessee and Alabama, respectively. I think we can get over the 41.5 in this matchup, though. 41.5 seems a little bit light. They trended under last week, but look for some points in this matchup early on in Norman. A 3:30 battle takes place in Nashville. Coach, you see Vanderbilt coming out of a bye week, laying 9.5 against Kentucky. We talked about Mark Stoops being on the hot seat. He's rolled back-to-back wins together. They're back now 500, fighting for bowl contention, Coach. When you see Kentucky, I think they could be live. I don't know if they win this game, but I like the 9.5, 8.5 points in this matchup against the Commodores.
Well, I think you're exactly right. It's getting the points getting a little bit too much the way Kentucky is playing and the way they pulled off this season and turned it around with some big wins at the end of the season. But Vandy's at home. This is Diego Pavia's final home game, and he's kind of a generational player at Vandy. He has really changed how they feel about what they can do to compete. I'm thinking about all the top 10 teams he's beaten while he's been the quarterback. Go back to last year against number 1 Alabama, that he's beaten 3 top 20 teams this year. And when they win, it's usually because of him. Been a phenomenal guy. I just like Vandy at home. Vandy with the excitement and how much it means to them, and that then wins this game. But I'm going to tell you, I've got to think twice before I take them to win by 10 points against Kentucky, the way Kentucky's playing.
Yeah, Kentucky has won 3 straight by an average margin of victory, Coach, of 23.3 points per game. Did go toe-to-toe with Georgia. They lost that game by 21, but that was basically right on the number of 20.5, 21.5, depending upon when you played it. Did pick up the road victory against Auburn 10-3. Defense plays like that on Saturday afternoon to contain Diego Pavia in the rushing attack. Kentucky could be live in this matchup. Coach, when you look at Mark Stoops, does he have to win out to potentially keep his job, or 6-6 is good enough if they were to steal one against Vandy or Tennessee in back-to-back weeks?
Yeah, I think they are. I just haven't heard a lot of things that want to push him out. You know, some schools don't feel urgent about that. The expectation level. He's done some good things there. They have not consistently had great football teams at Kentucky. So I think overall he's kind of gotten past that hot seat level this year. But if they did not finish and maybe get to a bowl, I would say he's definitely on a hot seat next year, because they're about ready for a change. I think they just feel like if he can get a win, one more win, get to a bowl, that he kind of has them moving in the right direction and not going backwards.
We'll see. And Kentucky has really dialed up their defense. They're going to need to contain a rushing attack in Vanderbilt that's averaging well over 4.5 yards per carry. When Coach and I return, we'll talk about the 2 other big games in the SEC this coming weekend. We have Tennessee and Florida in a rivalry game. Josh Heupel and Tennessee looking to win on the road in the Swamp, and who potentially might be the new head coach in Gainesville. We'll talk about that coming up next. All right, back on the Bowden Blitz. Joe Lisi and Coach Bowden breaking down Week 13 in the SEC. We left off talking about the 2 big games in Missouri and Oklahoma, and some of the other matchups, Kentucky and Vanderbilt. We'll now turn our attention to Austin. Texas needs to win this game against their former Southwest Conference foe, Arkansas. Rivalry back in the day, and unlike any other, Coach, Arkansas has been one of these snake-bitten teams. They lost 6 games this year by 7 points or less, pushed LSU to the limit, but lost it last week by 1 point. It's back-to-back road games, but I still like the points with Arkansas. They have Taylor Green, Omega Blake, Mike Washington. I know Bobby Petrino was upset last week about the refs, but they're playing with house money. I think they might pick up their first SEC win this coming weekend.
I'll take the points. I'm not sure they'll get the win, but they very well could. I really like Arkansas and the 9 points. I mean, you got Texas has given up 38, 31, and 35 in their last 3 games, and they have not been able to stop anybody. And Arkansas can score points, so I'm not saying it won't be a high-scoring game, but I really like the fact that since Petrino took over, they haven't lost a game by more than 9 points since he took over 5 games ago. They just find a way to get it close, and they are a bit of a snake-bitten team. They have just lost close game after close game, so there may be a lot of points on the floor, but I think Arkansas can match, and Texas has struggled. They don't run the ball very well. What Texas may do, he's getting so much criticism for not being able to run the ball after that game against Georgia. He may run it so much, it's not what they do best is throw it. Whether he likes it or not, he needs to find a way to beat Arkansas with points. And if he tries to run too much just to prove everybody that he's committed, he may get himself into a closer game than he wants. Not that they don't have to develop their running game, but I'm just saying you better go with your best stuff is when you got to win a game. And Arkansas is the kind of team that can upset you if you don't be careful. That's why I'm taking Arkansas in the 9. I think Texas is going to be concerned with the running the football as much as they are winning by over 10 points.
To your point, Arkansas allowed 155 yards on the ground to LSU. There was an LSU offense only averaging around 115, 118 rushing yards per game. They broke out against that front seven last weekend in Baton Rouge. Rivalry game, Tennessee on the road against Florida. You would think Florida would be up for this game, but, Coach, I can't look any other way but Josh Heupel and Tennessee. They have the more consistent quarterback. And Joey Aguilar, motivation is always key, but in a rivalry game, give me the road team against the Gators.
Yeah, I do too. I like Tennessee in this game. I like them with the points. They can beat Florida. Florida has just kind of run out of gas. Everything they've done, they've tried to do, and they don't have much left. I just don't. I think Tennessee's got too much on the line right now. And really, when you look at what he's wanting to do, if he can win out, if Heupel can win out and win the bowl, then he's got another double-digit victory, a 10-win season. And believe me, when you're building a program and not trying to go backwards, that's important. So this is a huge game for Tennessee. Again, I like the way they play right now, and they are scoring points. And I think they'll be able to beat Florida in this game. As Florida kind of runs into a new coach and getting ready for the future of this program.
Now, last year, Tennessee was a 17.5-point home favorite. The game went into overtime. Tennessee prevailed but didn't cover. We'll see if the Gators can bring that type of effort this coming weekend in the Swamp. Coach, we talked about the coaching search. John Summerall was supposed to interview in Gainesville this week. They called off the search. I don't know if you heard that. Rumors out of Tulane. Is Summerall going to potentially stay put? And is he a good fit in Florida next season?
Well, one, I don't see him jumping out there and interviewing on somebody else's territory and the word getting out. I just can't imagine him having to face his team if they thought he was on the road interviewing. I think he'll leave. He's destined not to stay at Tulane, and there's too many good jobs open, and not everybody can't have Lane Kiffin. And he's next in line for possibly LSU, possibly Auburn, possibly Florida. He's a very hot coach who I think wins with defense. He's a tough guy. He's been able to attract a good quarterback in the last couple of years at Tulane. When he lost one, he found another one. So I don't think he's staying at Tulane. I think he knows that when the going is good, you need to get going. He just doesn't know where.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, the rumor was, and the pushback was, why go the route of John Summerall? It's similar to what they did with Billy Napier. I heard some of the fan base say in Florida they'd rather go with an SEC coach. We'll see how it plays out. For Coach Bowden, I'm Joe Lisi. We'll see you next week on the Bowden Blitz. Enjoy the games. Have a great weekend, everyone.